Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Black Caucus meeting session, meet and greet. Thank you. So, I'm Selena Farley, co-chair of the Black Caucus, the female co-chair. Darryl is the male co-chair. We're waiting for him to get on. He is emailing me that he's going to get on soon, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Here he is. And if anyone's wondering about my sunglasses, I'm just making fun of the TikTok hearing. Most people that don't know what happened at the TikTok hearing, it has something to do with these sunglasses on my face, just to give you an idea. And it's a joke between us IT people. But other than that, I'm just Philena. And Darryl's here with us now. I'm just doing a quick intro and I'm pulling up the Canva file that Camilla made for us. And it's not really, this is a very laid back session about the Black Caucus, what we do, our mission, what we need, what we're trying to accomplish, especially in 2024 and beyond. I'm still admitting people coming in.
Oh, hey, everybody. I apologize for my tardiness. I had to picking up my daughter, and my mom went with me and has had a recent surgery. So she needed to get out. So it took me a little longer getting back in. So care providing. Anyway, long story short, it's good to see so many of you all joining us. Thank you for being here to talk about the National Black Caucus, our work, what we do, who we are. Camila has put out a message that we are unapologetically Black and green, and this is unapologetically true. And so thank you for promoting that part of us, Camila, and the promotions that you did for this particular meeting. Thank you for those designs. It's good to see so many of you, Linda, David, that I've seen before. Hey, Ani, and it's great to have some, and James, I'm not sure if that's James, our James, or a different James visiting with us, but hi, Jackie. And there's others of you that I have not had a chance to meet. And Robin, of course, my sister, hello. But did we get a chance to get everyone to say hello and who they are and where they're from?
We haven't started that part, but yes, that is the first part. Welcome and introductions.
So let's do that. So Philena and I will come towards the end and fill in anything you don't already know, but I'll go for the top of the screen that I see, and I see David Dudin first.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you again, Darryl. It's been way too long.
It has been. I'm glad you're better and well, and you look good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been the web manager for the Green Party since 2007. Twice elected village mayor in Greenwich, New York, served a total of 8 years. And I guess that's about, oh no, wait, one more thing. I've been uploading the videos as quickly as I can get them from Zoom up onto our Green Party videos channel on YouTube. So there's a bunch up there already. And hopefully by the end of some point next week, they'll all be up on gp.org as well. Over.
Thank you, David. So if everyone just your name and where you're from, that's great. So Marvin is next.
Hi, Salem, Oregon. I ran for the U.S. House of Reps as a Green Party candidate in 2016 and 2018. Glad to be here. Proud of the Black Caucus for your 2 years ago. Way to go.
Thank you. Camila Harris.
Hello, everyone. My name is Camila Harris. I serve on the National Black Caucus Steering Committee as alternate parliamentarian, as well as a national delegate, and I'm from Inglewood, California.
Yay, right near my old home. Jackie, beloved.
Hi, dear. Jackie Deveau. I am from Portland, Maine, land of the stolen land of the Wabanaki, up here in the land of the first dawn. Been with the party since 2000 and very much in support of the Black Caucus. and all of our wonderful members. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda, it has been forever. How are you? You're on mute, Linda.
Yeah, good to see you. I've moved from Connecticut to Massachusetts, which puts me in the Green Rainbow Party. I used to be co-chair of the Connecticut Party. Up here, I'm currently working on the campaign of the New Democracy Coalition to change the name of Faneuil Hall. Faneuil was a racist, and we're turning it into a national campaign. So I'd like to talk about that at some point. But it's good to be back. I've had COVID, long COVID. I've been very sick, but I'm slowly coming out of it and getting back.
Can't keep it. Apparently, you can't keep a good green down. Christina Khalil.
Hi, I'm from New Jersey. I'm running against Senator Menendez. So I am the only Green Party United States Senate candidate.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's see. The screen moves, so somebody did something. James, I see two of you there, though. James, and there's someone else with you.
James Lauderdale and Andrea Houtman. We're from Los Angeles.
Hey, my home.
I've been in the Green Party since 2004. Active at various levels of the Green Party, off and on in the state. Lifelong socialist, lifelong trade union activist, and I'm here to listen and learn.
Great. Would you all do me a favor, just so we can acknowledge Ann's presence? Could you change your name to say James and Ann?
Sure.
Okay, and I just want to say, and I'm also a lifelong feminist.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I was born into feminism.
There you go.
That's how I was brought up. David Molinix.
Aloha from Hawaii, Dave Monix in Hawaii.
Hey, Dave, it has been never ever seen you, but it's know your name, and so it's good to see your face.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we only
know each other now. Thank you.
Yes, Charisse, or Charisse. Maybe I'm not saying it right.
Oh, you said Charisse, right? I'm Charisse Cordero. I'm from Santa Barbara, California, part of the county council here, and just glad to see everybody.
Awesome. Richard Gomez. He's coming. You're still on mute. You're still on mute.
Go. All right. This is Richard Gomez here from Fresno, California, also known as Mississippi West.
Apparently, Camila, you did a good job of turning California out for us today. Who didn't I get? Let's see, Ani.
Hey. I'm Ani out of Alabama. I am the co-chair, the current co-chair of the state of Alabama and the current co-chair of the Mobile Bay Green Party and a proud member of the Black Caucus and a lifelong womanist and fight of all Indigenous people. Love you all.
You too. Corey P. Hello, welcome. We're just saying who we are and where we're from. You're off mute, but we couldn't hear you yet.
Hear me now?
It's a little better.
Corey Proctor from Mississippi.
Hey, Corey.
How you doing?
Were you on the other one with me earlier today?
I was.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Michelle Brown. Maybe, maybe not. We'll come back to you. Chris Mann.
Hi, I'm can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay, good.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah. I'm from Missouri. I'm in GPACs and outreach director for Missouri Green Party.
Awesome. Sonia. What?
Hi, I'm Sonia, and I'm from the Bay Area in California.
Leanne.
Hey y'all, I'm Leanne. I'm in Hickory, North Carolina. A long time Green right now, working on the membership team for North Carolina Greens. Long time fan of our late beloved Bruce Dixon. Me.
Thank you. Robin Harris.
Hey everyone, Robin Harris from Orlando, Florida. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the presentation is going to be. Thanks.
Anne. Maybe.
I think Renee was next because she kind of got jumped around a little bit.
Yeah, Renee's next on my list. Anne was right before. Okay, Renee, go ahead.
Sorry, and I'm in a moving vehicle with other people, so pardon the background noise. Renee, I am in Union County, New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay, great. And Whitney.
Hi, I'm a Whitney Prophet, and I live in Lincoln, Illinois.
Illinois, hey there.
Hey.
So did you get Michelle or Ann in yet? Are you back at your computers? Well, again, we're grateful that you all chose to stop by and hang out with us a little bit. First, let me just tell you that many of the reasons why our identity caucuses exist have to do with the very same reason that the Green Party exists in terms of the marginalization of people and working to overcome systemic issues that are affecting people and the planet, right? But we come to the Green Party in the same way that all of you do, in that the Green Party people are made up of people who live in this here United States. And therefore, we have the same issues in the party that exist in the larger US national structure, right? So that being said, we also are aware that that racism, white supremacy, sexism, the various homophobia, transphobias, and things exist in the world, right? And so that's why many of our caucuses exist, because those things exist. And just because you became green and you understood the 10 key values and some of those things did not mean that the things that are intrinsic in our culture in the United States don't still reside in all of us in some way or another. And it is a constant challenge to overcome and to fight those things that would be oppressive to other people. And so we particularly are here to, hey, Ann, okay, Ann Link from Brooklyn, hey there. I thought that was you. We are moving to continue to make the needs of Black and brown people, and particularly Black and African American people, known both within the Green Party and outside of it. And we use the 10 key values, the platform, the Green Agenda to help us move what we believe is the best way for all of our communities going forward. Robin said, nice graphics. We want to thank Camila again for these graphics that you're going to see today, who seems to do a really good job with graphics. More of us are coming online. So Philena, I'm Darryl Moch, and I am from the DC Statehood Green Party. I am the co-chair of the National Black Caucus. I am also currently a co-chair of the US Green Party on the steering committee. And I've served in a couple of committees inside of the national structure, but you didn't come here to talk about me, you came here to talk about us. So Philena.
Hi, wait, am I muted? Okay. Hi, I'm Selena Farley. I'm the female co-chair of the Black Caucus. I'm also the co-chair of the Ohio Green Party and a delegate, initial delegate. So I've been in the Green Party since about 2010, but I didn't know about the whole green thing in Ohio to be actually considered a green until after 2012. So I missed my window. I didn't know about the whole primary thing since every state is different, but technically I didn't become a green based on Ohio standards till 2014.
So Corey, oh, great. So some of you, I want to know so those of you that are here, let me tell you how you can be a member of the National Black Caucus if you're not a member. We are one caucus that currently has two different membership structures. The one is a voting member structure, and that is open to all people who are Black, who identify as Black and African or African American and are Greens, voting green, how registered green, voting green, however that works in your state. We know that different states have different things. So some states don't have a Green Party voter registration. So you may be a member of the Green Party in your state, but not yet be able to register. So we don't mince words around that. If you let us know that you're Black and green, you're good, right? And you have to attend a certain number of meetings. I think it's 3 meetings, 3 consecutive meetings in 6 months to be a voting member. So you have a 6-month window to do those 3 consecutive meetings. And if we miss a meeting or don't have a meeting, we don't count that against you. We work with you. So there's that level of membership. Those are full rights and membership. We have an associate membership role that is available for folks who are either Black or African American and not green, but believe in the pillars, believe in the values, and just may not have chosen to be in the party for one reason or the other, but want to be a part of the efforts that we do in our local areas and our national to move policy and issues for Black people. So they are there. And also for non-Black people who are Greens, who also want to affiliate with us and be a part of it. And we have several people who've been very, very active with us over the years as affiliate members. We have not done as much as we would like to with the affiliate members in a while, but we will. So if you are interested in being a part of the caucus, there is a form. It should be on the website that Philena just posted. You can fill that out. We'll get it, we'll get in touch with you. And we usually meet on the 3rd Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We may make some changes in that, but that's what we've been doing for a real long time, since before when I got here, that's what they were doing. So it's been a long time. And also, we will not, this is our meeting, technically our meeting for the month of August, because we always have a meeting during the A&M, which serves as our monthly meeting. So this will be the meeting for that. And we're not conducting any business, but it's an introduction, get to know us, spend time with us kind of thing. And our next meeting will be in September. If we need to have some meetings in between, we'll be sure to notify people and let you know. So if you're interested, you can put your email also in the chat, put your name and your email in the chat, and next to your name, write whether or not you would be a member or you would be an ally. And then we will know how to reach out to you and connect with you. So that is then answer to how we can how you can be a member to the National Black Caucus and how you can be an ally with us. And we like our allies to work with us and even can represent us on committees as an affiliate member of the caucus, so that you're carrying the messages that we have and the energy that we are bringing forward into the party. You're carrying that with us. So there is that. The 4 pillars from the Black viewpoint. Philena, you want to start us here?
Yeah, where the first topic is how Black people see the 4 pillars of the Green Party, and letting members of the Black Caucus express how they feel about or what the topic is specific to when it comes to social justice, when it comes to peace, democracy, and ecology. Robin did a great job of covering the ecology part when it comes to environmental racism. And I think Darryl did also covered in his talk today about social justice. Peace is another issue that we approach differently when it comes to foreign wars and peace within our own communities, and what we need for peace, which we haven't had for 400 years. So peace is a hard one for us. And We struggle with that one the most. And not just here in America, but internationally, we struggle with peace the most. We haven't had peace in a long time. So that would be like our hardest struggle is peace.
So I would jump into a little bit to that and say that in a lot of ways, the way that we and many of you, those of you that are here are welcome. This is an open conversation. So if you want to jump in and have something to say or a question or comment, please raise your hand. If you put it in the chat, we'll try to capture them. But sometimes with so many people, we lose the chat along the way. But for some of these, these particular 4 pillars, one of the things that we talked about when we look at peace, a lot of times when you are approaching Black communities and you want to talk about peace somewhere else, that is the place where the conversation begins to start turning the wrong corner, primarily because Black folks don't experience peace here. And so it isn't that Black people are not consistent or concerned about peace elsewhere, but they also want to know that you're concerned about peace here. When Black folks are dying in the streets because they're carrying a toy gun or they're eating Skittles and drinking a sweet iced tea, this is problematic. So the violence to Black people and Black bodies and Black and brown folks is tremendous in this country, as you all know. And so peace for us also means, how do we have peace at home? And what are the efforts that we want to say should be happening, and the government getting out of the business of other people's countries and into our business and fixing the problems that we have here. So when you look at, we're going to frame all of these pillars from that perspective. How do these things affect and work with us here? And what are we doing to make sure that our communities are safe? So when you get to the ecology and you start looking at how Black and brown communities particularly have been the sites of a lot of industrial terrorism, where we have dumps and things in our neighborhoods and they're not somewhere else. We have dumps or places where you don't want the stuff there, right? But they go near where Black and brown kids play. There's refurbishing items for playgrounds that end up in Black and brown neighborhoods where they wouldn't be the same materials in other places. So we look at these larger topics because we agree that these are issues. It isn't that we will say, oh, that's not an issue. We believe peace in the Middle East is a big deal. And many of us work on Palestinian issues and all of that as well. But we also need to hear and know that we matter here, right? And I think that's where the Green Party's messaging sometimes fails. It fails to make it clear that Black and brown voices and bodies are matter here. And that may be true in other areas, LGBTQ areas. It may be true for women as well. And especially for Black women, that's a big deal of what we are working on. We're looking at how do these things play themselves out both in the party and in the government. And so you're looking at that, social justice and democracy. Again, the lens is going to be very much the same in those ways of how does it play out here, and how are we as a party joining in with and engaging in the kinds of things that are going to make communities better for Black and brown people here in this country, as well as our engagement with other Black and brown communities around the world. So, Haiti and Africa and other places where we need to get out of or do better by things that we've done wrong as a nation. So I'm going to stop there and then let you all add into that, chime in a little bit. David and Christina have their hands. And so let's start with David, and then we'll see if anyone else has anything we want to add. David and then Christina.
Aloha, I just want to thank you so much for everything you've said. And you're so right on. Here in Hawaii, we work with Indigenous and people of color on the front lines of the climate crisis. The IRA that they just passed, they just say, oh, how wonderful this IRA is. But it's hurting the Black communities, the Indigenous communities. They are the ones that are suffering the most from the climate, from all these extractions on their land. They're running pipelines through their land. They're polluting the water. They're putting all kinds of toxic chemicals in those areas. So this is a big area that we're focused on. It's a national effort, but it's also international, because climate change is just really, those are the communities that are hurting the worst. The low income communities, they are suffering the worst. They're actually, the degrees of heat, it's so much across the planet now, are really affecting those local communities. So that's one of the focus that we're right now trying to get Joe Biden to declare a climate emergency, because that we're to that point, the UN said we're the US, what's the boiling, that the planet is boiling, global boiling, so anyway, so this is what we've been focusing on here in Hawaii. The other thing is the war in Ukraine. I know, trying to do local, but that $115 billion going to a war that's not declared, and that's $115 billion is not being used for our local communities, for healthcare, for cleaning up our environment here locally. So we're actually working with other groups in the Green Party to get the Green Party to say, no more weapons to Ukraine and call for an immediate ceasefire. So that, and I hope you folks maybe will join us on that. But so
and let us be clear that the National Black Caucus and our members are not lost on. We are not excluding ourselves as citizens of the world in our engagement with our siblings around the world of every race and of every background and of every status, right? We are absolutely connected to all of our communities, but we also want to make sure that those communities that have been harmed the most are also being lifted up and that repair is happening there as well. Christina?
Thank you for your work, by the way.
Thank you, David.
So do you want me to share some of my policy plans? Would that be easier?
I'm not sure. I think it might be just more about how you're relating to us and to the topics of what we're talking about right now. More than, because we'll have to have you on for a larger caucus meeting to have you really talk about in terms of getting endorsement from us. And there is a way for you to get that endorsement from us. We have a questionnaire and a process, and it's not hard.
Okay.
Not hard to complete. It may be hard to get the endorsement, but it's not hard to complete the stuff to get it.
Yeah. I guess how I can relate, like I have Black family members and me being Egyptian and the whole 9/11. So it's just the similarities and the discrimination, but for the Black community, it's even worse. And just witnessing that, and I've spoken to other members within the Green Party about the incarceration and how Black and brown people vanish within the prison system, and that's something that is that's driving me crazy, but we have a plan to focus on that. And then even at work today, it was we have my boss, she says, oh, we're releasing the white prisoners, because I work at a prison, we're releasing the white prisoners more than the Black prisoners. I'm like, oh my God, you admitted that. So what are we going to do to make this equal? And they're like, we're just going to do some research and we're not going to do anything. So that just literally drove me crazy. And I'm just like, okay, there's an injustice. These people have to go home. And then even with what happened in Patterson, when it came to Najee Seabrooks, the community said, here are our solutions. Here are the programs that we can utilize so we can reduce police presence, because the officers, we've lost trust with the officers. And then Plotkin pretty much said, no, we're going to add more officers. He said, I'll add more Black and brown officers. But when I looked at the pictures of the officers, they didn't match the community. So it's removing the police presence, because at this point, this is just now my personal belief and what my campaign believes, we have to gain, as elected officials and people in power, we have to gain the trust back within the communities. They do not have to trust us. So in order to gain the trust back, we have to listen to their solutions and invest in their needs. And that's how we're going to rebuild that trust, because the communities have every right not to trust politicians or police officers or anything that's going on, because over the years, the generational trauma, it's just sweep it under the rug. The next hashtag, sweep it under the rug. And we're crying out for change and nobody is listening. So I have a lot of great ideas, and how I got the ideas was actually doing something that no elected official does. Listen to the communities. What do you want to help you? Okay, you want better schooling. You want to invest in wow, I forgot what it's called. The people that build you want a Black-owned construction company. You want Black school teachers. You want Black social workers. That's not a problem. I will come up with the plan so we can move this forward. I just need the support so we can take over and we can move this forward. And this is where the money is going to come from. So it's not raising taxes. We're just reinvesting the money and using the money that has harmed the Black and brown communities by taking money out of police officers, by taking money when we end the drug war, because the drug war was designed to impact the minority communities. So removing, use that money saved from there, and then ending mass incarceration. That's 3 sources where we're just reinvesting the money. So there's no printed money, there's no taxes being raised, and just pushing it all forward. So we have the solutions, and we don't have to see we can have a world where there's not another hashtag where Black little boys and little girls do not have to worry about getting shot at for playing with toys. So we can have that world in this country where everyone has clean water and their families together and not have to worry about false charges. So there's a vision I see, and we can't uplift any other communities until the Black community is uplifted. It will be a catapult. So it's just focusing on that. So that would be what I have. Oh, you're mute.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for sharing that and for sharing for what you have. Philena, go ahead.
I was just saying thank you.
So next slide, Philena.
Okay.
And are there other folks that from within the some of our Black participants that want to share some thoughts on how you see these 4 pillars as we get ready to transition to the next topic?
I mean, I can chime in. I think with the 4 pillars, these are things that we definitely as a party could rally around, not even just like a Black caucus. I mean, especially when it comes to a lot of, the topics facing the country. We talk about police brutality all the time. That definitely aligns with the peace point, as mentioned earlier, with safety and security in our communities. And, even like reimagining law enforcement or reimagining how we keep our communities safe and secure. Definitely the environmental justice piece, I think, is something that we don't do enough, outreach and organizing around, especially what's been still going on in Flint, what's still going on in different parts of the country regarding natural resources and, them being polluted and things like that. I think, food deserts is even still, a major topic, even in the, Black American community. So, just finding ways that we can literally like attack issues that face, that disproportionately impacts the Black American community, at large, not even just the diaspora. I mean, there are parts of, of the world where they are still impacted by environmental injustice. But like we always say, like we want to drive, our messages home and where we're hit, on the ground the most. And I think that's the way that the Green Party can make inroads, is by taking a leadership role in addressing those very things that hit our 10 key values and 4 pillars more and more. So
yeah, and so and Corey writes food deserts and medical deserts in the rural America as well. Believe it or not, I'm in the nation's capital, and we have food deserts and medical deserts here, right in the heart of one of what should be the place where you'd have the least desert as well. So I also just want to point out, thank you. Welcome to Isaac, Martin, Laura from Florida, and Henry. I saw you all come in after we did our introduction. So welcome to you all. If people are interested in being a part of the National Black Caucus, either as a voting member or as an ally, please put that in the chat. Also know that if you don't hear from us, it could be that we did not get the chat from the National, because technology can happen. And if we don't get it, so if you don't hear from us, then go ahead and go onto the GPUS website, go to the National Black Caucus site, and then there is a place there where you can complete a form that you can indicate your interest and give us all of your contact information as well. Our next meeting will be the 3rd Sunday in September. And normally that meeting is reserved for the voting members. We will at some point have a meeting with our allies as well, or you can go to blackcaucusgreens.org as well, where you can find that information. Our second topic today is, what does it mean to be Black and green? The truth. And I think we got set up by this one. Camila made this slide again.
I mean,
And
there are some realities that come with being Black and green, especially in the organization, that I think there should be some consciousness about, but at the same time, understand that we do have opportunities to improve. We do have opportunities to advance, things like that. So that's why I wanted to give, have that kind of topic be up.
yeah, Philena, take it away.
Yeah, my biggest issue with being Black and green is not finding out about Black people in the Green Party unless they run for office, and then they're getting promoted by the our candidate committee, and that's when we find out about them.
Right, because if they don't know, we don't even find out about them. Sometimes we happen to find a candidate somehow by accident. And that's problematic, especially when states, one of the problems that we have is that states don't have a mechanism or have opted to not have a mechanism. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but they don't necessarily pass on information to us. So if you are part of your state leadership, or even know your state leadership, or wherever state you're in, you can, or even another caucus, you can share where there are people that should maybe be in a part of another caucus. We will tell our folks in the National Black Caucus, if there's someone who also identifies as in the Lavender community, hey, there's a Lavender caucus, you could be a part of that as well. If someone identifies also as Latinx, we let them know about that. And women, obviously, and with the Women's Caucus, and younger folks involved in the Yes Caucus. So we definitely share that information with when we have folks, but we're not finding that states particularly, I don't know what other caucuses are doing, but whether states, we know that states have registrations and we don't get information on any regular basis. And even when we ask, the states say, we don't know, we don't ask the question. So I don't know if people don't ask how people identify, but that can be problematic. I'm gonna come right back to you, Christina, in just a moment. But Philena, other members, Ani, you are a co-chair in Alabama, and Robin is a former co-chair of Florida. What's the truth about being Black and green and where you're from? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you knew I was going to do that anyway. Although they could avoid, they could also just not answer, and then whatever. But Ani, you were saying something, but you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Forgive me for my background noise. I'm actually driving my son to football practice. However, I will say something briefly, and I did want to come back later and speak some more once I get stationary. But yes, being green and being Black, I think we discussed this quite a bit. And this is something that I've heard from other people. What affects us being Black in being a socialist or being a part of the Green Party, it looks different than it does for other people. Our environmental injustices, what peace looks like, what democracy looks like, is different for us because we lead with our Blackness. Our Black bodies come first. There is no hiding who we are. You are who you are up front. When you see me, you see Black immediately. When you see me, you see a woman immediately. So you know where I stand. You know what I am. Now, how my politics play into that has a difference. And the way that being Black and being green in Alabama looks is different than being Black and being green in California or being Black and being green in DC. What affects me here is agricultural environmental injustices, having things pumped directly into our water, having the largest prison murder rates across the nation. I think we lost 300 people that were incarcerated. And though a lot of that came from overhousing in small compact areas in 107-degree heat index. Those are things that's what it looks like here. And those things don't get addressed and those things don't get pushed to the forefront because nationally there are more, I guess, pressing things. And yes, there are wars overseas and there are things that are taking place in other spaces, but what affects me here in Alabama doesn't look the same. And being Black and having to explain that, yes, global warming affects me differently. what environmental injustice is. They're still being led in certain government housing that isn't being addressed, that hasn't been talked about, that has to be pushed. And I'm in a red state. So I'm Black, I'm green, and I'm in a red state. I'm fighting an uphill battle here.
I need someone asked in the chat if those prisons you were talking about were private prisons.
No, these are publicly ran, owned by the state, and they're overpopulated. They're full of all types of environmental health issues. When COVID hit, so many people were not being treated properly. There's way too many people in there. There aren't even cells the way that normal prison, when you think of prison or jail, looks. They're all housed in like big, it's like a warehouse, and they have a bunch of bunk beds. And that's the way Alabama prisons look. There's like a bunch of bunk beds. Everybody's in one large space piled on top of each other. They've had prison riots over the last 5 years. They've had people dying from various diseases and not getting the health care that they need. Oh my gosh, that's just the men's prison. I haven't even mentioned the lack of feminine hygiene products that are needed in the women's prison, the low quality of food, and again, the quality of the drinking water and things that are given to them. And a lot of the prisoners here in the state of Alabama have to grow their own food. So let's talk about how even the water being pumped into the grass and the ground that is being fed to the prisoners, that is coming down from polluted areas. But that doesn't get addressed because there's other pressing things, or they're hindering reproductive rights. So we're so busy having to fight all of these big line items that those other items are getting pushed to the back and never get addressed.
Thank you, Ani. And Ani's going to come back again. I see your hand, Jackie. There's another thing about the truth of being Black and green, in terms of just for you to have a perspective of what it means, right? So, so I'll use this example. For Black people, Barack Obama being elected president, for Black people, it's a big deal. For Black greens, less so. But as a Black person, still a big deal for me as a Black person, if that makes sense. So when the party attacks the person, when there's never been one before, and it's something that the Black community is lifting up, that raises them, that raises their esteem and how they feel about themselves and all of that, there's a disconnect that happens. So what I often advise the media committee and others to do is to attack the administration and the policies, but to avoid, if you're trying to get Black people to pay attention to you as a Green Party, don't talk about him. Like, don't talk about him, because they'll say that's ours. You don't get to talk about him, right? But we can talk about his policies. We can talk about the administration. We can talk about those things that make it easier for folks to have the conversation, because they'll agree on the politics, right? They will not agree ever for the large share. Now, there are a lot of Blacks that are not fans of Barack Obama, so I'm not saying that people have to be a fan of his and that all Black people are fans. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I'm using it as an example for you to tell how, when you're framing things that you want to engage the Black community on, you've got to be able to think about how might this be looking from our lens. And if you don't know, it's always a good thing to do what Jackie's doing, what Christina's done, is to raise your hand and ask the question and listen, and don't assume, and tell us that what we ought to be doing, because we're Greens, we ought to be doing something a certain way, as opposed to we ought to be talking about issues, right? We don't ought to be doing anything. You're going to get some kickback when you try to guilt and shame folks into something because of their allegiance with a political party, because the party itself and the country has never felt like it's aligned itself to us completely, right? So there's still a relationship that we're building, if that makes sense, right? And I'm trying to explain that in a way, in this short conversation, in a way that it has some degree of clarity, especially if people go back and listen to this recording later, because I want to be really clear, like, you know, we know that there are candidates now and others who've been very, very vocal about their opposition to the policies and practices, and that particular person who I mentioned never promised to do anything for the Black community, right? But they didn't need to. When Barack was first elected, I said the only thing, he never promised to do anything for the Black community, and he didn't. But the one thing that he did do was he stayed Black, and he didn't die in office. He needed to not be killed in office. He needed to survive his term. That was important to Black people, regardless of what our political stance is. It was important that the first Black president not die from being assassinated. That was very important. I need you to kind of understand the emotional content behind how that feels for us. Even though many of us may not have voted for him. I didn't vote for him the first time I voted for Cynthia McKinney, right? But, you know, so there's that. Jackie, you had your hand raised.
Let me get myself out of here. Yeah, I just wanted to speak to Annie and say that my heart goes out to her in her position in the prison, because that is one of the major things that we are doing totally wrong, is how we treat our prisoners, and the prison system is it's just ridiculous, and it needs to be addressed big time, and I just wanted to thank
you.
Annie, the fact that she's even working with that is really hard, and you know, and we all know it's from school to the prisons, from school to the prisons for the Black community. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. I was just going to note that we hadn't yet even really touched on the school to prison pipeline, right? So that's that's even before we get to what Ani's been talking about, dealing with when they're there, and whether or not some of them should be there in the first place, right? There's a lot of that too. Christina, did you have something you wanted to? You had your hand at one point.
I just wanted to add about the prison issue. I can't remember exactly when that was. I can't remember if it was 2021. I think it was 2021 when we wrote a proposal to endorse the No New Jails campaign for the National Party. Like, they were like, during COVID, they're making budget proposals to build a whole bunch of new jails all over the country, just jails. So, you know, we wrote a proposal to for the party nationally to endorse No New Jails. It's a No New Jails hashtag. It's very popular. It's definitely popular in New York. And one of the first comments we got over that proposal from, I forgot which state it was, well, we need to stop having, you know, babies. If we want to, we need to stop, you know, with single mothers. You need to keep your legs closed type of response that we got. This is the first response we got for that proposal. And believe me, the Green Party flipped the heck out. Not just Black people, the Green Party itself flipped the heck out over this comment about, like, you know, we need to stop having babies. But that is what being Black and green, it comes out. Yeah, it comes out. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I saw a comment. Thank you, Philena. A comment about the the lack of the Indigenous Caucus, and that is something that I've also been a part of helping to work on. So you're right. There are lots of reasons why it doesn't exist, but there are many more reasons why it needs to, and what we need to do to be able to help make that happen. And I think it's important to talk about the differences between being a part of and being an ally with. Like, even when we talk about the Indigenous community, my ancestry, I know, is directly related to Cherokee and other Indigenous communities from this part of the world. I don't live my life that way. And so while I can say I'm connected, I'm not necessarily connected in the same way. And so I would be an ally and not try to be a part of if then in that same sense. So I think we've got to be really aware of that and not have people taking on an aspect of life that is not their way of life. In some ways, but that's a whole nother story. Auntie Ani said hello. And so the truth about being Black and green, right? Other folks want to weigh in. And are there questions that you all have about our experiences or what's going on? Maybe something, maybe you have a campaign, or maybe you are in your state and you want to figure out how to get more folks in. Linda, I know I've got your comment that you want to make. It's going to come a little later before we close out. But don't let me forget when we get ready to wrap up if I haven't called you. But I know it's there. But are there questions that you all have or thoughts you have?
Yeah, I do. On this question, can I talk?
In general, on whatever. Christina, I think was what had her hand on the stack. So I'm going to go back to her, and then if anyone else, just raise your hand or wave at me so I can see you. Go ahead, Christina.
Yeah. So, because you were talking about like the Black Caucus and caucuses, just in general, like as someone who switched from parties, I knew other party had caucuses, but it was news to me that the Green Party had so many caucuses and separated. So it's how do we build up our memberships in all the caucuses and get more people to join, and like how do we even spread the message, because I'm sure like everyone's doing everything that they can to spread the message, but it's more you guys have been established, and I just recently learned about you guys, and I just learned today that there was a women's caucus and a lavender caucus, and I'm just like, I went to the website, I'm like, there's all these caucuses.
So here's the problem, as I mentioned earlier, you're in New Jersey. Why doesn't the state of New Jersey, if you have a website or if you have meetings, why aren't they talking about places where people can get greater connection into the party? What I've told people oftentimes is, you know, we want to bring people in and send them right to committees on the national. That is the worst thing you can do for somebody that is new, to send them immediately into the lion's den of the business of the party, right? It's easier to be involved in your state or your local or your caucus, to build relationships, to get to know folks, to understand what's going to happen. I didn't send Camila when she first came to any other committees without saying, hey, Camila, here's what's going on these committees, right? And we said that to all of our membership. This is what's going on in the committees. These are some of the players. These are the issues they're dealing with. When you go there, you need to be aware of that so that you don't immediately take everything as an affront against you. It may not be about you at all. It just may be you walked into something and you're picking it up on the tail end or in the middle of an argument, and you don't have all the facts. So we try to remind people that going in. Marvin.
I just, I'm reminded of this, the peace, the green, peace, and black. When the wall came down in 89, 91, I wondered, who is our enemy? Who is our enemy going to become now? We're certainly not going to abandon this. Well, anyway, gangs went from the 5th page of the New York Times to the front page of the New York Times 2 weeks after Gorbachev's No Mas, No Mas speech. Principally black gangs went from the 5th, and they branched out to the white gangs about the middle of the 90s when they, the Oklahoma City, that fraud. And but anyway, it's just
I think it's a good point that you make, Marvin, that the country has often demonizes Black and brown people, and when they don't have another target, we are the target that they go after one way or the other. The whole war on drugs is another way that happened. The education system, and so we see this again reoccurring itself, revisiting itself. Robin put something in the chat about the craziness that's going on in Florida, right? So I've got, let's see, I know Ani's raised her hand. I think somebody said something in the chat. Ani, go ahead and And let me see who I think someone said they wanted to say something in the, Linda. So Linda's next after. Ani, go ahead and then we'll have Linda.
Go ahead now. Yeah.
Well, Ani, you go after Linda. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, I think it's must be hard to be Black and a Green in the broader society because the Greens get a lot of attacks even on the left. But I think there's problems also within the Green Party that I've noticed. A lot of our Black comrades experience some racist attitudes from the whites in the party and don't get the recognition and leadership positions that they deserve. So I think we have to address that as whites in the party. The other thing I want to say, lastly, is I think it's going to be a great time to be a Black Green with the prospect of the opportunities that the Cornel West campaign presents for us. If he becomes the Green Party candidate, which I am totally for and I am working for, the potential for Black and African American recruitment to the Green Party just explodes. And I think it's going to be the biggest thing that's happened to us if we can really get that campaign off the ground. His video.
So let me jump in. Thank you for that, Linda. And just I will reiterate. I said it on the last one earlier today that we are making sure that all of our candidates will be treated with the same dignity and the same respect and fairness, that we will not have the perception of impropriety or the perception of favoritism that happened in the last campaign. Not that we had done anything, and I said this, and you can listen to the recording from earlier today, but not that we had done anything, but that there was an appearance of. And so we are working very hard on the steering committee and those of us that are in the process in the party to make sure that that doesn't happen again, so that there is fairness in this process. I will say that, and I'll leave it at that. Ani, you were next, and then Camila. Go ahead, Ani.
Thanks, Darryl. I wanted to point out, I think what happens, especially when I got in contact with my state representation before I became the co-chair, is in a red state, a lot of the leadership are white and they have blind spots. I think we talked about this on the panel last year during a national meeting. There are blind spots that take place when the leadership doesn't think to send you in that direction for a Lavender Caucus, for a Latinx caucus, for a Black caucus. And we lose a lot of Black and Indigenous and Latinx and Lavender members. As a result, we don't retain those members because their experience in the Green Party becomes just aligned and not having those smaller groups that they're able to talk to about issues that pertain directly to us. There are specific things that we have to address just being Black. For instance, Dr. Cornel West was brought up. He, although maybe a viable candidate as a Black Green, being Black is not enough for me. Him being Black and knowing his past and have followed him since the 90s. As a matter of fact, I've watched old clips of him and Bell Hooks and conversations that they've had in spaces of academia that made me step back and hinder a little bit, like, wait a minute, I don't know if I support this man's politics. I'm hoping at this stage in his life, maybe his politic has shifted and changed and he's progressed some. But up until this point, has he even aligned with green politics? So being Black isn't enough. And that was a lot of our argument, like you said, when Barack Obama was running, even when the current vice president stepped in, and people just automatically assume being Black is enough. It's not enough. It's not enough to just say, this is a Black candidate and we are going to automatically going to align with this person. That's not necessarily true, because in the past there have been Black candidates that have said some very misogynist things. Misogyny war is real. There has been quite a few candidates that have stepped into place that were very homophobic, xenophobic, and several other things that we were like, wait a minute, I don't align with those politics. So being Black is not enough. And being Black and being green, do you really represent what green politics are about? Or are you just Black and putting on a green cloak? I'm done.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, because I want to make, and I love you saying that, because I really want to make it clear that we are whole people, right? That all that's going on in the world around us matters. We are engaged in a whole lot of things that affect our lives and our relationships with other people. So just our Blackness and just our greenness are not the only things that we're dealing with, just like your queerness or your womanness or any of those things, right? We are all whole people. And I think that we need to make sure that Green Party sees and engages us that way. If you feel, we have candidates, and I'll just say this and then go to Camila. We have Black candidates that have run for office in the Green Party in this most recent round of elections who we've never talked to. And although we reached out to those that we could find, they've not come to us and they don't stick around. So is that because it's easy to be a Green and get on the ballot? I don't know. Or is it because something is happening and transpiring within that state or that local or even the national that pushes people away, right? And that we don't want to talk about, right? So we'll give you a little example without talking about details. We had somebody who has been a leader in a state party before, have an experience, and is no longer in that role, but it's still in that particular area. Bring that experience up, mention it to the current folks that are in the role and get ignored and gets poo-pooed and it gets pushed away as if it's not an important issue, right? How do you do that? How do you not listen to someone who's been a part of you, who says this? And I thought about this today on my way here. I thought, if there's one Black person in the room and the Black person in the room says, hey, I feel a certain kind of way, and all the white folks in the room say, couldn't be, nah, right? That's the place where we need our folks to stop, to listen to the person in the room, right? And to say, wait a minute, maybe we all have, and we don't pat ourselves on the back and say, we're all right, because we all agree, right? It's the same thing if there was one woman in the room, and says, wait a minute, there's this thing, I'm feeling something going on. The men in the room need to stop and say, wait a minute, what's the perspective that's missing? We obviously can't have that perspective because we're not in that person's shoes. If we don't start doing that in the Green Party, we're going to lose some of the best people who are going to do the most work for us. And people are going to come from their background with their issues. That some people can be argumentative, some people can be challenging, some people have be passionate and can only see it in one way, but so are some of you, right? There are all of us. That's true for so many of us, regardless of what our race might be, right? So we have to be open to figuring out how do we better communicate with each other and how do we draw people in and not push them away, and what are the things that might be in our policies, our procedures, or in our methods, in our engagement that make people feel like they're not really wanted. I've got Camila and then Christina, and then we're gonna get close to wrapping up, I think, right? And then Linda's got something that she wanted to offer to us before we close out. Welcome to Eugene and Kevin, I think, who joined us a little bit later just now. Camila, go ahead.
I basically have like a twofold that I wanted to touch on as far as, because a lot of times I feel like there's the Green Party organization and then there's the Green Party as people know it to be, from the outside. And so those worlds tend to be two different places and spaces. And oftentimes when, especially I'm one of the newer Greens myself, and I'm younger and obviously I'm Black. And so coming into a lot of spaces in the Green Party feels awkward for me in the sense of people still, even on the outside, consider it more of a white and old and organization, hippie and all that kind of stuff. And I'm fighting that on the outside, saying no, that's not how we are. But I'm also dealing with a lot of those microaggressions on the inside because of how organizationally there's been a lot of status quo and establishment and things that basically, I'm coming into and I'm like, no, we shouldn't be having this kind of stuff. we need to be thinking broader and different and futurist as opposed to reactionary and being cliquish and all this kind of a thing. I mean, I know in the past there has been, you know, these factions or whatever that have come up from time to time in the history. I mean, I read a lot of the history of the party. So I'm all like, okay, how do we get over these kind of humps? Like even to a lot of points of what Darryl talked about, like how do we change in our methods? How do we change in how we communicate and how we treat each other and things like that? Because I've experienced a lot of hostility because I even bring up a lot of elephant points that has not been dealt with in the party. And in order for us to be an improved party and a better party going forward, there's just some elephants that we do have to address in the room, and they have to be dealt with in healthy and honest ways. And if we don't address them, then yeah, it could cause the party to perish in like one cycle or even, you know, like tomorrow kind of thing, like if we don't address those things. So I definitely wanted to like bring up that side of it, but also I wanted to also bring up that even Black Greens are not a monolith. Like we're not all like the same. And, you know, a lot of us are very passionate about the party. I mean, we want the party to improve overall. We want the party to make inroads in communities, have more people in communities know about it, from activists to advocates to, you know, especially around these issues that we talked about earlier, you know, with our 4 pillars and how our work should back those things and be, you know, help make inroads in the communities. Because there's a lot of people in the Black community that don't know, for instance, just the Black community alone, Black American community, don't even know about the Green Party. Even Dr. Cornel West said, you know, in an interview, he was like, I know very little about the Green Party. They just invited me to run. And I'm like, that doesn't help in even, I mean, to even some of Ani's points talking about how, you know, our experiences as Black Greens differ because we're fighting kind of a two-edged thing. Like we're fighting the duopoly, but we're also, you know, are talking about ourselves on the ground and who we are in our everyday lives. So I think there needs to be a little more understanding. It needs to be a little more inroads with even like what Linda talked about, like breaking those barriers and understanding what we need to do as an organization to be more welcoming and more, you know, about inviting new ideas, new perspectives and stuff like that into the fold. So it feels like a safe space. Even if we disagree, at least there's a safe space to disagree in, as opposed to feeling like you're basically, or, you know, my way or the highway. And it's like, okay, if I'm the highway, then I gotta go, you know, or feeling like you're being censored or pushed out of a committee or something like that. Because even those kind of things, you know, in our standing committee shouldn't be tolerated as well. So. Oh, I think Darryl, you're muted.
I also want to welcome Natalie, Ellen, and DJ, who came in also after I believe we did our welcomes earlier in the beginning of the session. So Christina, 30 seconds, we got you. 30 seconds, give us your shout out.
I got you. Less than 30 seconds. Pretty much in New Jersey, I want to get a whole array of different people to run for other seats that are coming up in the 2024 election. And I'd like to build another person down the road to build them up to take on Cory Booker from our party. I'd like us to take over New Jersey, because if we can take over New Jersey together as a Green Party, it's going to send a shockwave. New Jersey is the most corrupted state. So if we could destroy the corruption in New Jersey, we can take on anything throughout the country.
If you can,
I'm not sure. I think Florida and Texas will give you a run for your money.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
Alabama too. I'm just saying.
New Jersey has one of our strongest state Black caucuses. So
It
if
has
you
had, yes,
right,
that is
had
active right now.
right,
And that's another
so
thing.
if
We
you
want to
research to bring the New Jersey Black Caucus back in the full gear, that would be very much appreciated.
I will work with Renee on that one.
Yeah, so allies, that's one of the ways that you can be helpful also, is to assist us in connecting with Black and brown folks in your state and in your communities to get them into the caucus. And also, I think that our ability to work with them will help them work better within your state and your locals, especially when they come up against things that are systemic in our party. We're able to be an ally and be an advocate with them and help work through those things. We're trying to work through those things as much as we can, right? So thank you all for joining us. Linda's got something that she wants to say. Linda, you got about 30 seconds to 40 seconds to share with us about the campaign that you're doing in Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, the New Democracy Coalition is a Black community organization that does have whites in it, but it's based on reparations and on democratic elections. So we've got a pretty close relationship with the head of it, Kevin Peterson, who's currently reparations campaign is focusing around Faneuil Hall, changing the name from the slave owner that bears its name. And it's bogged down over 2 Democratic Party administrations. They will not touch changing the name. In Boston, it's very racist. So we've started helping them. I'm on the steering committee, and I think I'm just asking a question. How can we need to jump this campaign nationally because they don't listen in Boston to the Black community. So Kevin's got quite a number of leading Black personages to endorse this campaign, like Benjamin Crump and Jesse Jackson and other people, but we need an endorser drive. And if I just mail the information to the Black Caucus, can you discuss it and put it on the agenda?
Absolutely. Any time that you all are doing actions in your local or your state or your region or whatever it is, and you want our voice, we're happy to consider it and to offer our voice where it seems it'll be effective and most useful for you and for us. So absolutely. Philena's put our email back in the chat again. You can email there, you can email me or Philena. You have our emails on the national list as well. You can go to our webpage and you can also leave a comment there if you want to. We are so grateful that so many of you have joined us today to talk with us. It's heartwarming to have so many of our allies come and just hang out with us for a little while, get to know us a little bit better, know where we're coming from and what's important to us, and to have so many of you listen. We hope that we will be able to also listen with you when you come to us with a concern or a need or an issue. We want to be able to listen with you and to you as well. Laura, thank you. I'm just going to publicly say thank you for your email today. And you know what I'm talking about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you are a shining star. And we will walk with you down the path to rectifying that particular issue. But thank you for, and thank you for being here. Again, thank you, all of you. Thank you, Joseph, one of our national steering committee members, for being here as well. And for all of you that have labored in the vineyard of the party for a long time, and those of you that may be new, you are welcome here. We are grateful that you're here, and we want to help work collectively to build the party and to make change happen for those that need it the most, which are our communities from where we all are coming from. And I don't think there are very few of us here who come from a community that doesn't need something that isn't in the Green Party for change that needs to happen. And so we are in solidarity with you. Philena, you have the final words.
Nope, I'm going to be following up with everybody probably next week, because I'm going to be mini clipping all of our recordings and making little promos with Camila. So we'll be busy promoting the aftermath. But other than that, we'll be getting connected and beefing up our own caucus website. That's going to be our next to do.
Yeah, we actually have a media committee within the Black Caucus. So if you join and want to be a part of that, please come and help in those tasks. I am also in charge of the reparations working group, reviving that. So if you are involved in the reparations movement, doing any kind of activities and stuff, I also welcome members and stuff to join that working group. Hopefully we'll get up and meeting and everything really soon. We're just trying to get more people representing more states to come into the working group so that we can really be diverse, as we always talk about. So yeah.
Oh, Darryl, you missed that part. Instead of having our August meeting, we were gonna change it to a new members meeting, so it wouldn't be a business meeting with all the new people coming in and just have
Oh, okay.
as
Like
the,
orientation.
yeah, orientation.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of our regular August meeting, we're just gonna have like an orientation with all of you coming in and just do it that way instead of a regular Black Caucus meeting for August.
Because we would have normally not had another meeting this month after the national meeting. So that's fine. We'll do something with, yeah, that sounds great. I love that. I love the idea. I'm
Yeah.
with it.
Yep, since it's already, we're kind of used to the schedule. All right.
And for everyone else, we'll see you in September. But we do need membership. We need people. Annie says we need people to stay. It gets hard in this camp, in these places inside the Green Party. So we do need you to work hard at staying and find some allies within the party that you can talk to when you need to. That's what's kept me from leaving multiple times. It's just talking to some of my allies and calling them up and saying, wait, I've sent many emails saying I'm out, I'm done. And and I think some of you on here, Linda may have gotten one of those emails before. I know Robin and Philena has gotten them. And so yeah, but I'm still here and we all stick around. So let's keep doing what we can do to build. We appreciate you all for being with us and spending this time with us on a Friday evening when you could be doing something else and not worrying about these issues. And if you're not a person of an African-American person of color, you didn't have to feel obligated to be here. So we appreciate you taking the time to get to know us, to sharing with us, and to being community with us. And so we hope that you will enjoy more of the annual meeting this weekend and that you will go to the fundraiser, that you'll give money, that you'll become a sustainer and a donor. You can donate to the party. You can donate to our caucuses as well. We have lots of committees inside the National Black Caucus, and you can find a home to represent your issues on the national committees through being an appointed person from the National Black Caucus as well. So there are many, many ways to get involved and to engage. And Whitney, thank you for your information. We will definitely be in touch. Hopefully we will get the copy of this chat, but just in case, email us anyway, but we will be in touch. Thank you all again for being here. You all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the annual national meeting. Stay safe.